Welcome to the White House Custom Color YouTube page where the tables have turned. We are interviewing Matt Hodgman today. We are going to put him on the spot a little bit. Okay, so we were trying to scare you. So tell us, how long have you been with White House?
Oh boy. Well, that's an interesting question because technically I've been around for about 7 years, but really it goes back to very, very early 2000s. And being introduced to Mike Handline.
Yeah.
He sponsored my program at Senior Photographers International way back in the day. And literally Mike and Chris helped the studio that I worked for at that time transition from film to digital.
Wow.
And they drove 2 hours one way to set us all up, get us all going. And then when I started my own business, they did the same thing. In fact, Chris consulted on all the equipment that we had to buy. And then he came out and set it all up. So, I mean, it's a long-standing relationship between me and the Handline family and White House. I mean, I always kind of kid around like they can't get rid of me. I just kind of keep coming back, you know? So.
We want you to keep coming back.
Okay.
We're glad you're here.
Good.
Tell us your favorite thing about your job.
Besides you two?
Yes, obviously. Obviously.
Well, anybody who's met me knows that I have the gift to gab. And you know what I really enjoy about what I do now is I'm taking my knowledge of the photography industry and now the knowledge of the lab world, and I'm able to see both sides and have a good understanding for wants and needs from both directions. And I feel like I can speak the language on kind of any side of that and help be a discussion point for the lab and for photographers. Because sometimes, and you two can probably attest to this because you're both successful, you know, sometimes we get an idea in our head and we just barrel down that hallway straight at it without really understanding, like, okay, there might be an alternative to this, a little bit to this way or a little bit to this way that would work better for everybody involved instead of just, you know, tunnel vision on this one thing.
Yeah.
You know, so having those discussions and being comfortable with having those discussions on all facets is my favorite thing. You know, close relationships with people. You know, being able to text everybody about dinner the other night and be like, hey, y'all want to do this? You know, and getting responses within a minute. You know, like, I love that. It's great. It's not clients, it's friends. You know, it's just hanging out with friends who we happen to make beautiful artwork for.
Yes.
Truly,
and
you know.
and I think Sarah would agree that you guys help us make way better artwork, and you've supported our businesses in such a great way.
Yeah. We definitely try.
And this program we wouldn't have met.
Absolutely.
If it weren't for White House.
Yeah.
I mean, we formed friendships that we wouldn't have had otherwise.
Right. Because you're in Missouri,
Yes.
and you're in Arizona, and here you are together. Hanging out.
Together.
You know, and for those of you too, and maybe you guys don't even know, like, really what the history of this concept is it started with Mike.
Yeah.
Way back in the day. And for those of you that do know Mike Handline, he is a genuine dude.
Yes.
And he remembers everything, and he's easy to talk to, and he's a good coach. He's been a mentor to me my whole life. Like, that's what we want to keep doing.
I think that's
you know?
my favorite part of your story, of your start at White House, is they were pouring into you, and then that ended up with you looping in and coming into the fold in White House. But that's what I think we feel through White House, and why there is a lot of loyalty, and we love it. And it is because it's not just where I send my work to get printed, that you guys really pour into us. And you see, like you said, sometimes there's a course correction shift that you need to make. So now I have another question for you.
Yeah, I love questions.
You have to kind of see the whole market and have your finger on the pulse of what's coming, what's going. And we know, especially when we've been with you for a long time, you don't offer everything you have always offered. And there are new things around the corner. So my question is twofold. I want to know a little dish.
Oh boy.
I want to know
really
what is
hush-hush
your
stuff?
the really hush-hush stuff.
Don't tell anybody.
What is your favorite product that you did offer?
Oh boy.
that has now just times have changed, availability of things have changed, and it's just not an offering anymore. Maybe it's not even current in the climate of our world anymore. And then I want to know what you're excited about that you do offer that's new.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, like, can I change the wording from favorite to maybe a more substantial product that was really popular in the past that just kind of fizzled? So, like, let's just take image blocks, for example. So, image blocks, we did make the decision to discontinue last year, but we really do look at the popularity of things. We monitor that constantly, and we're looking at product costs and labor and popularity of the product and the amount of floor space it's taking up and the equipment and the aging of the equipment and what that would do to the price of those products if we had to replace said equipment. And there's a lot of ins and outs of that, and I'm very fortunate to be involved and be able to sit in the room with people who are making these high-level decisions, so I understand, or hope to understand, the higher level decision making that's happening here. And that product, for example, was just not popular anymore. And we were watching those numbers creep further down, and watching metals and acrylics and framed acrylics and float frame pieces and everything skyrocket. And it just doesn't make business sense, to continue to invest into a product that's just not popular anymore. So we're constantly watching those things, and we understand sometimes those decisions are hard, and that's where I come into it as well. Like, I will get on the phone and I will let people know, like, okay, this is happening.
To gently ease us through.
Prepare yourself.
That's not going to be here anymore.
Right.
Yes, you break the news very gently.
Yeah, and try to give as much lead time and transition and help and suggestions about, okay, this would be an option for you to fill that price point or that style, or things of that nature. Make suggestions to ease that as much as possible. Change is hard.
Yes.
It's hard for us, it's hard for you guys. It's hard to receive that phone call and then have to change things up. But our hope is that through the relationship, that we have, and that, the Hive team has, that I have, that when I call and say that, I genuinely am like, okay, we're here to help. Let's figure this out. And that's, again, going back to like the tunnel conversations. Like, we've always cut the ends off the ham for Thanksgiving. And why do we cut the ends off the ham? Nobody knows. Well, you go back 3 generations because the pan was too small. So like thinking through things like what do we need to do to keep growing and keep offering? I always use the Pottery Barn as an example. So Kelly, my lovely girlfriend, loves Pottery Barn. And
Yeah, Kelly,
She has great taste.
but we get catalogs all the time from Pottery Barn. And how much of those things are constant over 15 years? Zero. Because they're constantly changing and evolving and adding fall, spring, winter, Christmas, holidays, all the things, because they're staying up to date.
And that's why you want to look in the catalog and see
Yes,
what they're
exactly.
going to offer.
You want to see what they're offering. So to be able to take, the literal data from across the country and the world, honestly, and make decisions based on that, not an emotion, on true raw data, and then we can reinvest and redeploy those things to make new fun products for you guys. Yeah, for sure. So, second part of the question, since I only spent 25 minutes talking
That's
about
okay.
that one.
We have nowhere to be.
Yeah. So you both know that we recently launched a bunch of new frames. 11 different ones, actually 13, but there's 4 of them are the same molding, different colors, but whatever, we'll call it 11. The thing that I'm very excited about, and I'm honored to have been part of the meetings that were going on about this, for our studio redesigns, which if you haven't seen those, definitely check those out. We always talk about groupings, selling in multiples, getting somebody to add on that extra piece, because at the retail level, that's a good thing for everybody. For us, for you, for everybody. And the mindset of having to have everything match all the time. You don't have to. It doesn't have to be the same frame. It doesn't have to be the same printing surface. It can be different. You can play with these things. So we came up with two different concepts, kind of a warm, earthy, warm tone concept, and then kind of a more light, airy, beachy, white, cottagey kind of feel. And on the wall over here, we have two examples of that. And of the lower one, or the more earthy tone ones, we took not only 5 different frames and made a cool looking collection out of them, there's 3 different surfaces in there. So we're helping photographers curate their own collections to make it look more custom, which is really cool because, you know, White House is a big business, but we can take this knowledge and run it through a funnel and offer collections and curated pieces that when you put them in your studio and show them to your clients, it's like, whoa, that looks like a designer put that together.
Because
You know.
they did.
So that's the thing I'm most excited about right now, and to have been a part of that in the concepting and the choosing the frames. Like, we listen. I listen to you guys.
Yes, you do. Yes.
You know, and we really need this. We want this. We need this size. You know, we submit things constantly on your behalf, and this is one of them. You know, so that's what I'm most excited about.
Love it.
Yes. And you've given us permission to speak up, so unfortunately
Yes.
you have to hear from us.
That's good. If I open that door, you know, you're gonna want to walk through it. You know.
All right, can I ask one last question?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
What's your favorite movie, Matt?
Oh my gosh. My favorite movie. Now, Lucas running the camera and I share a love for Fast and Furious. But my absolute favorite movie of all time is Eddie and the Cruisers 2.
Eddie, 2? Not one.
Not one.
2. Tell us why, please.
Oh, I mean,
no.
There's too many
if you
reasons.
haven't seen Eddie and the Cruisers, how can you even be alive? I mean, it's such a
That
good
last
story.
scene in Eddie and the Cruisers 1, that last.
Oh yeah, where he shows up on the
Don't
street.
spoil it. Some people are going to be watching it for the first
I
time.
haven't seen it, so don't tell me.
Oh,
Don't
yeah.
spoil it.
Yes.
Okay, so Eddie and the Cruisers 2.
2, yeah.
And we'll just have to watch it and guess why you love it.
Yes, I just love
okay.
it.
All right, that's an unexpected recommendation. I love it. That was good.
Awesome. Well, this has been fun.
That's good.
Any other questions? No?
We just appreciate you letting us turn the tables.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you've interviewed us a few times, so
I have.
it's kind of fun to throw it back at
Now
you.
it's your turn. Awesome. Well, thank you. I hope that you've all enjoyed the interview with these two wonderful human beings, and we'll be back with you with some additional stuff coming back from Imaging USA.